What if you were judged unfairly, only to return with the ultimate comeback? The late afternoon sun cast a golden hue over the Madison Grand Hotel, a historic luxury landmark nestled in the heart of Chicago's bustling downtown. The towering glass facade gleamed under the warm light, reflecting the hum of city life below. Noah Carter, a distinguished African-American entrepreneur, stepped out of his sleek black SUV and adjusted his tailored navy suit. Today was a monumental day. Noah had an important business meeting that could seal one of the most lucrative deals of his career. Noah, in his early 40s, had worked tirelessly to build his investment firm from scratch. His reputation was one of brilliance, precision, and integrity, but no amount of wealth or status could shield him entirely from prejudice, a lesson he had learned time and time again. He strode confidently into the hotel lobby, where polished marble floors gleamed under grand chandeliers. The Madison was known for catering to the elite, CEOs, celebrities, and international dignitaries, but as Noah approached the front desk, he noticed the subtle shift in atmosphere. Conversation slowed, eyes lingered on him a moment too long. The receptionist, a young woman named Rachel with a practiced smile, glanced at him with faint suspicion before addressing him. "Good afternoon, sir, how can I assist you?" she asked politely, though her voice carried a hint of stiffness. "Good afternoon, I have a reservation under the name Noah Carter. I'm here for a business meeting," he replied smoothly. Rachel's smile faltered ever so slightly as her fingers danced across the keyboard. The tension in her shoulders became evident as her eyes darted from the screen to Noah. After a long pause, she said hesitantly, "I'm sorry, Mr. Carter, but I don't see any reservation under that name. Are you sure you're at the right hotel? How would you feel if you were dismissed like this?" Noah's jaw tightened. He had encountered this scenario before, too many times to count. He kept his voice steady as he replied, "I am very certain this is the Madison Grand, correct? I can show you my confirmation email if needed." Before Rachel could respond, a tall man in an expensive gray suit appeared beside her. Christopher Blake, the hotel manager, exuded authority and arrogance. His piercing blue eyes swept over Noah, assessing him with a look that said he had already made up his mind. "Is there a problem here, Rachel?" Blake asked, his voice dripping with condescension. "This gentleman claims he has a reservation, but I can't seem to find it in our system," Rachel replied softly. Blake turned his full attention to Noah. "Mr. Carter, was it? I'm afraid if there's no record of your reservation, we cannot accommodate you. We do have standards here." The implication in his voice was sharp, and the meaning was crystal clear. Noah's temper flared, but he remained composed. "I have the confirmation email right here," he said, reaching into his pocket to retrieve his phone, but before he could even unlock the screen, Blake raised a hand. "Sir, I must ask you to leave, now." Two security guards, stocky and stern-faced, appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Their posture was rigid, their hands hovering near their belts. One of them spoke, his voice cold and firm. "Sir, you need to exit the premises immediately." The situation had escalated far too quickly. Noah could feel the weight of dozens of eyes on him, guests, staff, passers-by, all watching, judging. He hesitated for a brief moment, considering his options. He could stay and fight, demand his rights, but the look in the guard's eyes told him exactly how that would end. "Fine," Noah said, his voice low and even, "I'll leave, but this isn't over." As he turned and walked away, the guards followed closely behind, escorting him out like a criminal. Outside, Noah paused on the sidewalk, staring up at the towering Madison Grand Hotel. His chest tightened with anger and humiliation, but beneath it all, a spark of something stronger, resolve. That evening, Noah sat in his penthouse office, overlooking the Chicago skyline. The video footage of the incident, captured by a bystander, had already begun circulating online. Outrage was spreading like wildfire across social media. Messages of support flooded his inbox, and calls for boycotts against the Madison Hotel echoed through countless platforms. Noah wasn't just a businessman, he was also an astute strategist, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the city, Noah made a decision that would change everything. He picked up his phone and called his financial advisor. "I want to buy it, the Madison Grand, start the process tonight." And so, the wheels were set in motion. Noah Carter would return to the Madison Grand, not as a guest, but as its new owner, to be continued. The following morning, the Madison Grand Hotel stood under a veil of morning mist, its glass facade reflecting the muted light of a cloudy Chicago sky. Inside, the hotel bustled with its usual activity. Staff members polished silverware, valets parked luxury cars, and guests strolled through the lobby with an air of effortless privilege. Yet, an undercurrent of unease rippled through the staff. Whispers had begun circulating, a rumor that the man they had so publicly humiliated just hours ago was about to return, not as a guest, but as something much more significant. Noah Carter stepped out of his car, wearing a sharp charcoal suit that spoke volumes about his confidence and authority. This time, he wasn't here to ask for a room, he wasn't here to be dismissed. Today, Noah Carter walked through the gleaming glass doors of the Madison Grand Hotel as its new owner. Heads turned, conversations stopped. The same receptionist, Rachel, froze mid-sentence as she recognized him. The faint pink hue of embarrassment crept up her neck as she fumbled to find her voice. Before she could say a word, Christopher Blake, the manager who had orchestrated Noah's humiliation, emerged from his office. His usually confident demeanor had been replaced by an unmistakable stiffness. "Mr. Carter," Blake said, forcing a smile that was as thin as paper, "what brings you back here today?" Noah didn't respond immediately. He simply reached into his inner coat pocket, pulled out a thick folder, and laid it on the reception desk. Blake's eyes widened as he scanned the bold title across the top, Madison Grand Hotel Ownership Transfer Agreement. Noah spoke with calm authority. "Mr. Blake, as of midnight last night, I am the majority shareholder and official owner of this hotel. I suggest you gather the staff in the main conference hall immediately, we have business to discuss." Blake's face went pale, his mouth opened slightly as though he wanted to protest, but nothing came out. With a curt nod, he turned on his heel and disappeared to carry out Noah's orders. In the conference hall, a reckoning, the grand conference hall of the Madison Grand Hotel was packed with staff members, front desk clerks, kitchen staff, housekeeping, security guards, and middle management. The air was thick with unease and tension. Whispers passed between groups, speculating on what would happen next. Noah stepped onto the small stage at the front of the hall. He surveyed the crowd before speaking, his voice calm but commanding. "Good morning, everyone, my name is Noah Carter, and as of last night, I am the new majority owner of the Madison Grand Hotel." A murmur rippled through the crowd, faces turned toward one another, some filled with shock, others with something closer to fear. "Many of you know exactly why I'm standing here today," Noah continued. "What happened to me yesterday wasn't just an isolated incident, it wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a reflection of a culture that has been allowed to fester within these walls for far too long, a culture of prejudice, arrogance, and entitlement, but that ends today." Noah paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. His sharp gaze swept across the room, landing briefly on Blake, who stood near the back, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. "Effective immediately, there will be changes, significant changes. First and foremost, Christopher Blake, you are relieved of your duties as hotel manager." Blake's head snapped up, his mouth opened as if to protest, but Noah held up a hand. "This isn't a negotiation, you'll be escorted out of the building today, and your severance package will be processed by HR. I suggest you take this time to reflect on your actions." Two security guards stepped forward, ironically the same guards who had manhandled Noah just the day before. They now stood on either side of Blake, waiting for him to move. His face flushed red with embarrassment and fury, but he knew there was no way out. With stiff, jerky movements, Blake walked out of the conference hall, followed closely by the guards. Noah turned back to the assembled staff. "For the rest of you, this is an opportunity, a fresh start. I'm not here to punish anyone unjustly, but I won't tolerate discrimination, arrogance, or disrespect in this hotel. Every employee, regardless of their position, will undergo mandatory culture sensitivity and diversity training. This isn't optional." The crowd remained silent, some visibly uncomfortable, others cautiously hopeful. Noah continued, "If you can't align with this vision, you're free to leave, no hard feelings, but for those who stay, I promise you this, the Madison Grand will become a beacon of excellence, not just in luxury and service, but in integrity and equality." With that, Noah stepped away from the podium. The weight of his words hung heavy in the air as staff members began to disperse. Some left quietly, their faces tight with resistance, others lingered, speaking in hushed voices, their expressions marked with cautious optimism. A new vision takes shape. Over the next few weeks, the transformation of the Madison Grand began. Noah implemented sweeping changes. Training sessions were held weekly, middle management staff were reshuffled, and leadership roles were offered to individuals who had been overlooked for years. One such individual was Jasmine Turner, a housekeeping supervisor who had been with the hotel for over a decade. Despite her impeccable track record and tireless dedication, she had been consistently passed over for promotions. Noah met with her personally and promoted her to the position of assistant hotel manager. "It's about time someone noticed your hard work," Noah said during their meeting. Jasmine, holding back tears, simply nodded. "Thank you, Mr. Carter, I won't let you down." But not everyone was on board with Noah's vision. A small faction of disgruntled former managers and staff began to sow discord. They whispered behind closed doors, plotted minor acts of sabotage, and resisted the new training requirements. Noah was aware of it all. In one unannounced visit to the employee breakroom, he caught a group of staff members complaining loudly, "This place is turning into some kind of experiment," one of them sneered. Noah stepped into the room quietly, and all conversation stopped. The men stiffened, their faces flushing with embarrassment. "If you can't adapt," Noah said calmly, "you're free to leave, but let me be clear, this hotel will succeed with or without you." One by one, the men turned and walked away, their complaints silenced. An invitation to change. At the end of the second month, progress was evident. The Madison Grand Hotel had begun to transform, not just its policies, but its soul. Guests noticed the difference. An air of genuine warmth replaced the previous veneer of polished exclusivity. Noah walked the halls daily, talking to employees, checking in on departments, and making sure his vision was being realized. Some employees had left, unable to adapt to the new order, but many had stayed and thrived. One evening, as Noah stood by the grand entrance, watching guests arrive for a charity gala being hosted at the hotel, Jasmine approached him. "Mr. Carter," she said with a proud smile, "the staff wanted me to tell you, thank you for giving us a chance, for believing in this place." Noah nodded, his heart swelling with pride, but he knew the journey wasn't over. There were still battles ahead, resistance to overcome, and minds to change, but for now, the Madison Grand Hotel was on its way to becoming something extraordinary, to be continued. 3 months had passed since Noah Carter took ownership of the Madison Grand Hotel. The iconic establishment had undergone a profound transformation, not only in operations, but also in spirit. The once sterile luxury now felt vibrant and inclusive. The energy in the hotel was palpable, staff walked with renewed purpose, guests lingered in conversations with employees, and laughter occasionally echoed through the grand marble hallways. Noah Carter stood in his office on the top floor, overlooking the Chicago skyline. The golden glow of the sunset bathed the city in warm hues as he reviewed financial reports. The numbers told a story of recovery. The Madison Grand was not just stabilizing, it was thriving, but success on paper was not enough. Noah wanted the change to be felt by every person who walked through those glass doors. A new culture takes root. The training programs Noah had implemented became a cornerstone of the hotel's revival. Workshops on cultural sensitivity, leadership, and equality were now mandatory for every employee, from janitors to senior managers. Staff meetings weren't just about numbers anymore, they were about growth, communication, and collaboration. Jasmine Turner, now assistant hotel manager, led many of these sessions. Her warmth and firm resolve earned her respect from staff members who had once doubted her authority. One evening, during a staff training session, Jasmine addressed a room full of employees. "This hotel is not just a building, it's a reflection of who we are. The way we treat our guests and the way we treat each other defines this place. We have the power to make it a home for everyone who walks through those doors." Applause followed her words, but among the crowd, Noah noticed a familiar face, Brian Marshall, the former head of housekeeping, now working as part of the maintenance crew. His arms were crossed, his expression hardened with skepticism. After the meeting, Noah approached him. "Brian, can I have a word?" Brian hesitated, but followed Noah into a quiet corner of the lobby. "You've been here for years, Brian, you know this hotel better than most. I see the resentment in your eyes. What's holding you back from embracing this change?" Noah's voice was calm, but firm. Brian sighed, his shoulders sagging slightly. "It's just, everything happened so fast. One day I was in charge, and the next, I'm scrubbing floors. I've worked hard, Mr. Carter. I've given so much to this place." Noah nodded. "I understand that, but Brian, leadership isn't about titles, it's about actions. You have a choice: hold on to the bitterness, or step up and be part of something better. I know you have it in you." For the first time, Brian's expression softened. He didn't reply, but Noah could see the gears turning in his mind. No resistance and sabotage. Despite the progress, resistance still lingered in the shadows. A small group of former senior staff members, those who had been stripped of their titles and privileges, continued to plot behind closed doors. They spread rumors among the newer employees, attempted to sabotage events, and tried to discredit Noah's leadership. One night, during a high-profile charity gala hosted at the Madison Grand, a fire alarm suddenly blared through the halls. Guests were evacuated in a flurry of confusion and panic. Security teams quickly determined that it was a false alarm, deliberately triggered in an attempt to disrupt the event. Noah was furious, but he remained composed. Cameras had caught the culprit, a former supervisor named Lucas King, who had been demoted after refusing to attend cultural sensitivity training. The next morning, Noah called a staff-wide meeting. "I know what happened last night caused panic and embarrassment," Noah said, his voice carrying authority, "but let me make one thing very clear: sabotage and resistance to positive change will not be tolerated. This hotel is moving forward, with or without those who refuse to grow." Lucas was escorted out of the building, his employment terminated immediately. For many employees, this moment was a turning point. They realized that Noah was not just offering empty promises, he was building something real, and he would not allow a handful of disgruntled individuals to tear it down. Moments of change. As weeks passed, the culture of the Madison Grand began to feel authentic. Guests noticed the difference, staff interactions were warmer, and the air was filled with a sense of genuine hospitality. One particularly meaningful moment came on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. A black family, the Johnsons, arrived at the hotel, tired and drenched from their travels. The front desk clerk, a young man named Elliot, who had been hired under Noah's leadership, welcomed them with a bright smile and made sure they were comfortably checked in. From across the lobby, Noah watched the exchange. He couldn't help but remember his first encounter with the hotel staff months ago. The stark difference filled him with pride. Later that evening, the Johnson family approached Noah in the dining hall. "Mr. Carter," Mr. Johnson said, shaking Noah's hand firmly, "I just wanted to thank you. We've stayed in luxury hotels before, but there's something different about this place. It feels welcoming, comfortable." Noah smiled warmly. "That's the goal, Mr. Johnson. Everyone deserves to feel that way." The final test. Months later, Noah faced his final challenge. Investors from a major hospitality group were scheduled to visit the Madison Grand. Their decision would determine whether the hotel would secure the funding needed to expand and further solidify its new direction. Noah personally oversaw the preparations, ensuring every detail was perfect. Staff members, both old and new, worked together seamlessly. Jasmine managed logistics, while Brian, now head of maintenance once again after proving his loyalty, ensured everything ran without a hitch. When the investors arrived, they were greeted with impeccable service, smiling staff, and an atmosphere that felt equal parts luxurious and genuine. After their tour, one of the investors, a sharp-dressed woman named Cynthia Moore, approached Noah. "Mr. Carter," she said with a smile, "it's clear that something special is happening here. This isn't just a hotel, it's a symbol of change. We'd be proud to invest in your vision." The funding was secured, and the Madison Grand's future was cemented. The new dawn. On a bright spring morning, Noah Carter stood on the balcony of his office, overlooking the courtyard below. Guests laughed and chatted as they sipped coffee on the patio. Staff bustled efficiently, their faces reflecting a sense of pride and belonging. Jasmine joined him on the balcony, a satisfied smile on her face. "We did it, Mr. Carter." "No," Noah corrected her gently, "we're doing it. This isn't the end, it's just the beginning." Below them, Brian passed by with a team of maintenance staff, offering Noah a small nod of respect. Guests checked in at the front desk, greeted warmly by staff who no longer carried fear or suspicion in their eyes. The Madison Grand Hotel was no longer just a luxury establishment, it was a symbol of growth, redemption, and the power of change. Noah turned to Jasmine. "Let's keep building." And with that, the Madison Grand stepped into its next chapter, a beacon of hope in a world that so desperately needed it. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to BUP Stories for more inspiring stories.